All right, guys, how's it going? I really didn't expect to have a video today, okay? And I also realized the last couple of days that I've been doing a couple of videos, which I'm happy to be doing those videos, but I was doing a couple of videos and they don't have a lot of structure and anything. It was just me ranting, like going crazy, and I mean that's cool. That doesn't matter. I promise I'm gonna get into my groove and probably things are gonna get better. But I wanted to talk to you about something that happened that you probably missed. And so I don't know if you heard, probably unless you're living under a rock or unless you're watching a lot of TV, um, that people are waking up, right? You always hear about this awakening that people are having. That we are in the age of awakening. Some people say we enter in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of awakening when the people are waking up to the truth. Now, I hope my mic is better. I noticed also last video was a little too low for YouTube. So yes, people are waking up and there's things that are happening behind scenes. And sometimes what we see on the TV and the things that we see all the time are like, it's chaos, right? It's chaos everywhere. You see all these protests, all these, we have the virus for the longest time already. In China, it started probably in November, or some people say since October, September. But to America at least, or to many of the countries, everything started probably at the end of the year, at the end of last year, and moving into this year, right? January, February, March was big time here in the U.S., and we went to lockdown in mid March, and there are many things going on, and sometimes we don't see further than those things, right? We get scared, and people are fine to be scared. But I don't want you to be scared. I want you to be strong. I want you to, and at least in my case, I try not to have fear, because the devil feeds from fear. The demons feed from fear, and that's what they want. They want you to be uh, afraid. I noticed personally, and I know I've been talking a lot about God and everything, and I'm not trying to like preach anything, because to be honest, my life hasn't been pure at all. It's not like I'm like, it's not like I'm a man of God living that life 24/7. I try though, I try, but that doesn't mean like him teach you how to be a better Christian, or teach you how to be a person with God, right? You have your own relationship with Christ, you have your relationship with God. If you have one, if you don't, well, I hope you get one. I hope you start one, or retake. I mean, I hope you get back on that track, because it's a beautiful thing. So what I um, what I wanted to share with you today is speaking about this awakening that people are having, and many of the things that are happening behind the scenes that sometimes we don't see, right? Because we see only on TV. There is chaos everywhere, and it's terrible. Everything is terrible, right? So what I wanted to share is something that happened probably like a month ago. It was the month of June, and it was June 7th. And it was this letter sent from Archbishop and to Donald Trump, right? And of course, if you think, probably many of you, or many people are gonna be thinking that, okay, this Archbishop is sending a letter to Trump for him to change, for him to be better, because he's doing things wrong, and of course, he's not being a man of God. He's just a racist, and a white supremacist, KKK, whatever you want to say about the guy, right? So this Archbishop is actually very, very awake, and I want to show you the letter. I actually gonna read the letter with you, for you, and I hope you forgive my reading, because English is not my first language, as you can tell. But I'm gonna read it with you, and I'm gonna show you the letter, and we go together to see what's going on, to see what the letter says, and what we can take out from this. All right, so let's jump right in. So on June 7, 2020, it says Holy Trinity Sunday, and it says, Mr. President, in recent months, we have been witnessing the formation of two opposing sides that I will call biblical, and we can agree that, right? The children of light and the children of darkness. The children of light constitute the most conspicuous part of humanity, while the children of darkness represents an absolute minority. And yet the former are the object of a sort of discrimination which places them in a situation of moral inferiority with respect to their adversaries, who often hold strategic positions in government, in politics, in the economy, and in the media. In an apparently inexplicable way, the good are held hostage by the wicked and by those who help them either out of self-interest or fearfulness. These two sides, which have a biblical nature, follow the clear separation between the offsprings of the woman and the offsprings of the serpent. And the one hand, these are those there are those who, although they have 1,000 defects and weaknesses, are motivated by the desire to do good, to be honest, to raise a family, to engage in work, to give prosperity to their homeland, to help the needy, and, in obedience to the law of God, to merit the kingdom of heaven. On the other hand, there are those who serve themselves, who do not hold any moral principles, who want to demolish the family and the nation, exploit workers to make themselves unduly wealthy, foment internal divisions and wars, and accumulate power and money. For them, the fallacious illusion of temporal well-being will one day, if they do not repent, yield to the terrible fate that awaits them, far from God, in eternal damnation. We will also discover that the riots in these days were provoked by those who, seeing that the virus is inevitably fading and that the social alarm of the pandemic is waning, and necessarily have had to provoke civil disturbances, because they will be followed by repression which, although legitimate, could be condemned as an unjustified aggression against the population. The same thing is also happening in Europe, in perfect synchrony. It's quite clear that the use of street protest is an instrumental to the purposes of those who would like to see someone elected in the upcoming presidential elections who embodies the goals of the deep state and who expresses those goals faithfully and with conviction. It will not be surprising if, in a few months, we learn once again that hidden behind these acts of vandalism and violence, there are those who hope to profit from the dissolution of the social order so as to build a world without freedom. Solve et coagula, as the Masonic adage teaches. Sorry about that, I don't know about that word. The last one. Although it may seem disconcerting, the opposing alignments I have described are also found in religious circles. There are faithful shepherds who care for the flock of Christ, but there are also mercenary infidels who seek to scatter the flock and hand the sheep over to be devoured by ravenous wolves. It is not surprising that these mercenaries are allies of the children of darkness and hate the children of light. Just as there is a deep state, there is also a deep church that betrays its duties and forswears its proper commitments before God. Thus, the invisible enemy, whom good rulers fight against in public affairs, is also fought against by good shepherds in the ecclesiastical sphere. It is a spiritual battle, which I spoke about in my recent appeal, which was published on May 8. In society, Mr. President, these two opposing realities coexist as eternal enemies, just as God and Satan and Satan are eternal enemies, and it appears that the children of darkness, whom we may easily identify with the deep state, which you wisely oppose and which is fiercely waging war against you in these days, have decided to show their cards, so to speak, by now revealing their plans. They seem to be so certain of already having everything under control that they have laid aside that circumspection that until now had at least partially concealed their true intentions. The investigations already underway will reveal the true responsibility of those who managed the COVID emergency, not only in the area of healthcare, but also in politics, the economy, and the media. We will probably find that in this colossal operation of social engineering, there are people who have decided the fate of humanity, arrogating to themselves the right to act against the will of citizens and their representatives in the government of nations. For the first time, the United States has in you a president who courageously defends the right to life, who is not ashamed to denounce the persecution of Christians through the world, who speaks of Jesus Christ and the right of citizens to freedom of worship. Your participation in the March for Life, and more recently, your proclamation of the month of April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month are actions that confirm which side you wish to fight on. And I dare to believe that both of us are on the same side in this battle, albeit with different weapons. For this reason, I believe that the attack to which you were subjected after your visit to the National Shrine of Saint John Paul II is part of the orchestrated media narrative which seeks not to fight racism and bring social order, but to aggravate dispositions, not to bring justice, but to legitimize violence and crime, not to serve the truth, but to favor one political faction. And it is disconcerting that there are bishops, such as those whom I recently denounced, who, by their words, prove that they are aligned on the opposing side. They are subservient to the deep state, to globalism, to aligned thought, to the New World Order, which they invoke ever more frequently in the name of a universal brotherhood, which has nothing Christian about it, but which evokes the Masonic ideals of those who want to dominate the world by driving God out of the courts, out of schools, out of families, and perhaps even out of churches. The American people are mature and have now understood how much the mainstream media does not want to spread the truth but seeks to silence and distort it, spreading the lie that is useful for the purpose of their masters. However, it is important that the good, who are the majority, wake up from their sluggishness and do not accept being deceived by a minority of dishonest people with unavowable purposes. It is necessary that the good, the children of the light, come together and make their voices heard. What more effective way is there to do this, Mr. President, than by prayer, asking the Lord to protect you, the United States, and all of the humanity from this enormous attack of the enemy? Before the power of prayer, the deceptions of the children of darkness will collapse. Their plots will be revealed, their betrayal will be shown, their frightening power will end in nothing, brought to light and exposed for what it is, an infernal deception. Mr. President, my prayer is constantly turned to to the beloved American nation, where I had the privilege and honor of being sent by Pope Benedict XVI and as Apostolic Nuncio in this dramatic and decisive hour of all humanity. For all humanity, I am praying for you and also for all those who are at your side in the government of the United States. I trust that the American people are united with me and and you in prayer to Almighty God, united against the invisible enemy of all humanity. I bless you and the First Lady, the beloved American nation, and all men and women of good will. Carlo Maria Vigano, titular Archbishop of Ulpiana, former Apostolic Nuncio of the United States of America. Now, I can imagine that was a lot to take, but that's what is going on. That's pretty much what he says in this letter is pretty much what's going on. And if you really start to do your research like we talked in the last couple of days, you will come to a realization that what this Archbishop is, Carlo Maria Vigano, the Archbishop of Ulpiana. What he's saying is pretty much what's going on and what has been going on for a long, long time. Now, when he mentioned also about Trump, he declared that the month of April was the national month of, against child abuse, right? That tells you that Donald Trump right here is trying to save the children. If you just do a quick research, and you will find out that has been thousands of pedophile rings that has been already dismantled, and also human trafficking, and he's all against that. And the opposite side is not, right. They want abortion. They just sign, they want late abortion. They want, even if the baby is almost out of the womb, they can kill it. They can just kill it like it's not a human being. And I'm totally against that for sure. When I was younger, I was more of a liberal. Of course, it's easier, if they tell you, or if you can have an abortion, or you can have like the next day pill, or you can. I mean, listen, that's a very, very difficult subject, okay? But I don't think nothing justifies the killing of children, but that's a different subject. I just want to let you know about this letter, and I want you to understand what's going on, and I wanted you to have your own idea of what's going on. Your own perception. You can realize what's going on. So anyway, that's all tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna come with something else, and we'll talk tomorrow again. All right. Have a good one, and God bless. Bye bye.